Hello and welcome to another Daily Muppet. Let's talk about what news we have to discuss today. First, I want to talk about departures, as we have recently confirmed, the club directly confirmed, that essentially all of United's free agents will be leaving this summer. There's official announcements that have been made for Lingard, Pogba, Mata in the last 24 hours. And previously, they had mentioned already Matic, Grant, and Cavani. So I'm not sure that we will see anything new official for those three. One thing to note in terms of timing on this is that it's actually not early to announce this. Usually, clubs announce their retention list in early June, which is then published. Last year, it was published for all clubs by the 4th of June. So it's very normal to announce your free agent departures in the beginning of June, end of May. We just usually don't have that many with all these contracts that keep getting given out. So you're not used to it, but very, very normal to announce them early. It's not actually different to the general way of acting. Almost all clubs have released a retained list, leaving off the players that are departing as free agents this summer. So, it makes it clear for us ahead of time, but generally speaking, this is always done before the transfer window is officially open, and it is done in June. So this is a big deal anyway, that all of these names are leaving. On its own, it adds up to somewhere in the range of £900,000 per week, which is 47 million per year in wages. And as mentioned in prior videos and articles, this frees up an enormous amount, and is why I have estimated that they had around 125 million to spend this summer plus sales. And it seems like that's about right, and the number that is being come up the most in the media as well. So let's talk about ins, because obviously we have some interesting things to discuss. Starting with Jurrien Timber. We've hit our first kind of public bad news brief in this transfer cycle, with Telegraph reporter Mike Verwijge stating that Ajax feel the player can now stay at Ajax. Concerns over his place in the national team, even though he doesn't start, and if he would have a significant role at United, making an impact, they think potentially he could stay. Now, bear in mind, this comes from the Ajax side. Interestingly, you have just yesterday Van der Kraan on Talk Sport saying that he's fully convinced that Timber will join Ten Hag at United. This comes from the Dutch side. It comes from there. Obviously, they want to keep him. They may be getting some positive signals, but this isn't really new or too concerning to me. Not that it's wrong or that it couldn't happen. I talked about this in Tuesday's video, and I think it's important that I don't want to rehash it, so let me just play the clip here. I was told a piece of information before that he will not join United to be cover. And so it's important to note that the one thing that could be uncertain on this is what role was he offered. He will not join to become cover at United. And so that's where I've continued to lean towards potentially being a right back, where I think he would immediately play over Diogo Dalot, with the sale of Wan-Bissaka looking likely, as the center-back situation is a bit more clogged. He's not going to join to sit behind Varane and Maguire or Lindelof for 40, 50 games and get 10 or 20 games here or there. That's not what he's going to do. So if he's been offered that role, there's a chance he turns it down. If he's been offered a role where he can come in as a starter, then I think it's effectively a done deal. So the biggest thing is that he needs to feel like he will have a significant role at United right away. And I think that's important as well. The fee would be around 35 plus 5. The personal terms aren't an issue. This deal is really awaiting the green light, but it isn't impossible that he changes his mind, turns around and says this. However, my personal opinion is not to make too much of the report yet. It'll get out and United will brief something if this is a new information and one that will cause them to back away from the deal. United met his representatives last week. This was confirmed by this same source, and opened up formal talks this week with Ajax, as reported by many, there is a deal on the table. So either he changed his mind in the last 24 hours, or they received enough positive signals from his representatives last week during the meeting and in prior discussions that have gone on since April to press ahead and get a deal agreed. I'd be surprised if they've moved forward this much and had started allowing it out there to people like Paul Hurst and others that they had started talks if he wasn't willing to come and he was going to say, nah, never mind, I'm going to Ajax. I'm going to stay at Ajax. So it would have to be a very recent change of heart, or it's probably not a big deal, and it's just a part of the general transfer reports you get as deals are progressing. I've said before, however, at the same time, that I'm not sure that Timber would be the first signing. That, again, they want to press ahead and get the other deals done, and they have it lined up. If Timber were to join, it would also still be only in the beginning of July. So there is plenty of time for this to progress and for there to be more twists to the tail. But it really would just come down to his personal decision at this point. Everything else is done. Everything else is effectively done. I shouldn't say totally done, but it is effectively agreed and a deal that's on the table if, again, he hasn't had a change of heart. So let's see what happens there. And then as to the right back aspect of it, I mentioned that in there why I think that, and I'm still curious. It was stated that David Carmo could be a fallback option as well as Pau Torres, but just think about that for a moment. Timber's a right-footed right center back in Ten Hag's system who sometimes plays as a right back. The other two are left-footed left center backs. Not exactly the same profile or fit. So it's something to think about. They don't do the same job in a Ten Hag team. And so are they really backup options, or are they in addition options if United have the money to move forward with a purchase of a center back as well? And moving on to a similar situation, albeit a bit different in terms of the whole deal, is Frenkie De Jong. Barcelona today announced that they will not accept the CVC deal. Without going into detail, it simply means it was a commercial deal that was on offer to them to sell the rights to something to help their financial situation. It simply means that in order to function properly, register the players that they are signing and that they have right now, they're going to need to make sales and cut salaries, which is what was expected, but they apparently will not sign this deal that might have bailed them out of it. For other reasons. This absolutely, once again, keeps the door wide open for Frenkie De Jong to leave Barcelona. United, as we mentioned last week, had pressed ahead to get a fee. They are in formal talks with Barcelona, and we believe will be making an offer soon. Barcelona reportedly want 80 million euros, but United do not want to pay over 60 million euros up front, and they think there's potentially a deal available with that plus some add-ons. Okay, so I do expect them to press ahead with an offer. You can never guess at timing or when things come up in the media, but they're in very active discussions, and I think they're moving forward to get a deal with Barcelona at a reasonable fee. My personal opinion is if they can agree to this, Barcelona will then tell Frenkie that they have a deal and he has to go. And that will be the final push needed. But that's just my opinion as to the way this will go. If they tell Frenkie, look, we have a deal, we can't register you, we've got to offer pay cuts and things like that, but they will sign you, they will take you, you can go to United, there's a deal on the table, we need you to take this and go. Then I think it will happen. And I think that would be the push that gets Frenkie De Jong to say, okay, I'll take the deal at United. So that could be something that happens, or something that I should say we start seeing a lot of movement on in the next little bit. Not to put a time on it because you never know, but we should be able to see some movement on that shortly. Personally, I'm actually more optimistic on this one than I was last week, simply because of the nature of how this deal has gone. The initial rejection, but the continued work on the deal, the formal talks being reported, everything. So, and then the financial situation. So I think we'll hear something soon. I'm quite excited to see how this plays out. And I haven't wanted to get my hopes up at all, but I'm starting to get a little bit excited by the idea that Frenkie De Jong could come to United, that it could happen. It's crazy. Again, I would have said this deal was a 1% chance 3 weeks ago. It was not 95%, that's for sure. But the continued pressing on the matter, the work that Ten Hag has put in, the situation at Barcelona continues to make it viable. I'm still wary of PSG coming in for him, personally. But, we'll see. We will see soon. And I know United do not want to pay an insane amount of money because they really want to be able to finalize a few deals quickly before having to rely on sales to add to more budget. Other than that, there hasn't been a ton of news in the last 2 days. No real updates on Darwin Nunez yet. Still feel good there, but it's not done, and Mendes and Benfica may still be waiting, just in case more offers come in to drum the price up. What I can say from my side is that I believe United are willing to pay, and have expressed this through them, that they're willing to accept, if no other offers come in that are higher, a fee of around 60 million euros plus add-ons to around 70 million euros as a total deal. Benfica were not asking for 100, 130, they were asking for 80. But generally speaking, you're not going to get that. Nobody's bidding 80, and United feel that is a fair deal. A structured deal, if he works out and he succeeds as well as he should, they'll end up with 70 million euros, maybe somewhat similar to the Bruno deal, but with a little bit less, a little more upfront, a little less total. As an example, though, Hugo Ekitike, who had been reported that we stated, as well as others, that United looked at earlier, is going to Newcastle for 46 million euros in total. This is a player that has played 1,350 minutes in league for the 12th place League One side, and he's going for 46 million euros. And that gives you an idea of the striker market. He's a good young talent. I think he's a good prospect, but that is a very unproven player going for 46 million euros to Newcastle. But they have the money, and striker options are limited. I think I've said this before, but the best strikers are either very old, 30 plus on their way down, or very young, and you're going to have to pay a lot of money for them. So I think a 60 plus 10 for Nunez in this context is extremely fair and a very, very reasonable fee for a good player. In the meantime, I'm exploring other names and any others to add to the list, but that about covers it for now. So I'll definitely keep you updated very quickly as things come in and anything changes. So we'll see what happens there. But again, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on. I'll see you in the next video.